a quick Friday night live. I wanted to talk to you guys about the dark side of the zodiac signs. And I always wanted to do a series of the dark side of the zodiac signs. The only problem with that is that my journey, my personal journey, doesn't quite allow me to push the envelope of meaning. Okay, so a lot of people, like, they do the dark side of the zodiac signs, but certain things that they consider dark side isn't really that bad. And certain things are overlooked. And so, it's my job for my life to search for the deeper meaning behind things, to search for the deeper meaning behind things. And I decided that if I'm going to do my version of the dark side of the zodiac, that I have to bring in more spirituality context. And so with that comes the seven deadly sins, and how they can match the zodiac, like what zodiac sign might be more susceptible to the seven deadly sins. Now, I know that this is not a topic that everybody's going to be really wanting to partake in, but I think it's really important. And it's actually, this video is a small version of a bigger idea. And so you'll be seeing me put out some of these smaller concepts first. And then once I have those smaller concepts, I'll be able to craft a bigger idea. So I wanted to talk to you really briefly about the seven deadly sins and my take on them. Okay, because I know that a lot of people may push Christianity to the side, but I think that that would be neglectful and it would be ignorant to do so. Okay, and at this point, if you're not ready to talk about that, it's probably best that you not move forward with the work that I do here, because the work that I do is about integrating all of the faiths and finding the core truth that they're all trying to say. I want to talk about the fact that the concept of sin, right, is very, very interesting because it is about something that's hidden, and it is connected to the internal darkness, which governs and harbors the emotions. And what I want to really bring to the table is the idea that the seven sins, right, are actually something that's really and deeply connected to illusion. And so this is why the seven deadly sins are something that can be very scary for a lot of people when you're thinking about sovereignty, right? And the capacity to enjoy life. I think people feel threatened by the concept of the seven deadly sins because of its apparent existence may rob you of what you think is fun and entertainment. But of course, everything has to have balance. Me being a Libra rising, that's a lot of my path. And so you'll see that what I want to bring to you is some of the more harsher judgments, right? Considering the darker side of the zodiac, the more the more Christianity approach to it. If you ever want to know and understand my stance on Christianity, check my decoding of the Lovecraft videos. Hey, Love and Light, Aries in the building. What's up? Check my version of the Lovecraft videos, because in the Lovecraft videos, I do decode the show. But what I really present to you is a connection of astrology and the Bible. From South Africa, amazing. Hello from Brooklyn, sending love from Brooklyn. Whoever else is tuning in, let me know what your rising sign, your moon sign is, your sun sign, because we are going to talk about the seven deadly sins. I'm going to stop saying that now because I feel like the YouTube algorithm is going to pick up that word and I'm going to have a problem. So we're just going to say the seven sins of the zodiac. But I was first explaining the emotional side to the concept of sin. And really my studies are showing more that sin is connected to the moon. That's connected to the moon. And what is occurring in the emotional spectrum of the sins, right, is the emotional lack that is needed. Okay? It's an emotional lack that is needed in order to partake in the seven sins. Now, why is this? Oh, I got to take my jacket off because this is about to go deep. And I know there's just a few people in the building, but guess what? You guys are going to get the secrets to alignment. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place, but yeah, please drop me your comments so we can chat about this. And I'm just going to spill what's going off in my head because these are ideas and concepts that I want to build upon with you. And I think that we could change the world in understanding these concepts because we won't be coming from a judgmental place like a lot of people feel Christianity is. We're coming from a place of integration because we are bringing in the astrology as well to support the concepts of the deadly sins and the ideas of shadows and the ideas of misalignment. So I got to go back. I got to go back to the astrology. Let's take our time. I know I'll be talking in circles and I'll put some timestamps on this afterwards because it will be all over the place. And if you're in and out, that's cool. Come back.
You got a good watch. That's it.
Oh, no, thank you. Come back later and watch the timestamps for the very specific topics I'm going to talk about. But this right here is a money video because I'm not going to go by any order. I'm just going to go by channeling and what I've been really coming to about this, because this is not like just a casual concept about the dark side of the zodiac. This is about, guys, this is about the reason why you don't get what you want in life. Okay? This is about what you don't get in life. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people judge me for being judgmental. So I'm going to crash that right now and tell you that this has been inspired and evoked by my spiritual weight loss journey and my looking at lust, greed, and gluttony when it comes to food. I have a Taurus sun, a Mars in Taurus, and Taurus is deeply connected, I feel, to greed and gluttony. Now, it can be for food, but for Taurus, it could also be for money. For me, my struggle has mainly been for food for most of my life so far. And so it was inspired by the spiritual take on how to lose weight that I started to understand the darker sides of my lust for certain types of foods and why. And then it dawned on me that this couldn't be applied to all of the sins and it could literally help certain people get into alignment. Now, who would these people be? I'm going to tell you who these people would be. There would be people who are like me, who aren't as Sagittarian based or Venus based. Okay, why do I say Sag and Venus? Because Sag and Venus are highly optimistic, benevolent concepts in astrology. And why are they? Because they want to take you to a place that stays a little bit away from the darkness. Venus works best in her most superficiality, right? And so anything that has to do with a Venus, like going deeper, like Venus retrograde. I was talking to somebody who's born with Venus combustion, Venus and Pluto aspects, Venus and Neptune harsh aspects. You're going to be the type of person that may not always be able to enjoy the luxuries of life without a little bit of other stuff that you got to think about. And guess what? There's a lot of people who just have a direct Venus in a good position, and they just don't have to work so hard to enjoy life. So if you're a person who might have some of those placements of Venus, then these concepts I'm about to share with you tonight and on this channel might be something that I think could really help. And the other is if you have Jupiter, because Jupiter is also it's like a sitting potential energy. And Sagittarius and Jupiter, they don't want to look at dark things. Scorpio is just behind Sagittarius. Sagittarius doesn't like to look deep and dark into things. It's in its fall house, right? So Sagittarius and Jupiter, they like to look at the lighter side of things and to stay in that optimistic point of view. So if you have any detriments to Jupiter, which wouldn't be too many, but if you did, then this also might be helpful for you, because the point of this is that a lot of people on online and whatnot, they talk about law of attraction and channeling and alignment, and it's beautiful, and I'm learning so much about it, but they're talking to a very specific type of person, somebody who does not have karmic debt. Okay, they're speaking to a very specific type of person. They're speaking to a person who doesn't have karmic debt. Okay, and so especially on Venus and Jupiter. And because of that, they can easily feel something and discover alignment with ease. But there are certain people who are born with resistance. These people who are born with resistance have a lot of burden, heavier themes. It might be more Scorpio related, eighth house related, 12th house related, fourth house related. You might be a little bit more in the water houses. You might just be a little bit more Saturn based. You know what I'm saying? So people who have certain placements, they can showcase the story of the fact that there are certain humans who came here with the choice to have the blue pill, and there are certain humans who came here with the choice to have the red pill. Now, the people who chose the red pill, you're probably similar to me, because what we had to do was to choose to I guess you would, I don't want to say the word clean, but work our karmic debt in this life. And so certain things just never seem to come easy, and it's based off of these alignments. And the people, I was just watching, I believe his name is Sadhguru on YouTube yesterday, and he talks about the ojas. I'm just throwing these terms out here. You guys can look them up if you want. But he was talking about just the ability to be in alignment, and how difficult it can be. A lot of people aren't able to grasp that. And so you wonder why a lot of people don't have the capability of manifesting what they really desire. And so, and Sadhguru, he talked about in this video how people who are born with a lot of karmic debt, that they are the true enlightened ones. And there's a reason why. They came here to release that karmic debt, and to work that karmic debt, to be enlightened, to help everyone else. Why? Because this concept of a linear life is an illusion. And the deepest truth to it all is that we are soul beings who are constantly, cyclically, in a cycle, living in these realities, in these matrix and parallel earths and parallel realities. So a person who has karmic debt and comes into this life and works their karmic debt into enlightenment, they are long-term thinkers. And when I say long-term, I would say that we're not just talking about the end of your life, but we're talking about your next life. People who come into this life, they think about karmic debt, and they work their karmic debt to prepare themselves and their families and their DNA for this life and the next, and then one after that. They are long-term movers. They may have had past lives, where they did indulge in the 7 sins. Right? And depending on the manifestation of the zodiac that we're in, might be able to tell you where your actual karmic debt is in your chart right now. But you already might have an idea if you're tuning into this. Okay, let me stop and just acknowledge everything you're saying. Right. Go in. Your ex is a Sag. Lovely. Yes, I'm a very big thinker. I'm an overthinker. And overthinking is actually definitely a debt that I'm here to work and pay for it as well. Okay, I'm going to do my best to stay more on top of you as you comment. So I apologize for taking too long to respond. Okay, so I wanted to talk about these concepts, and I am all over the place, and I know I am. I'm a Gemini moon, you guys. I'm sorry. Karmic debt is given, right, to those who are ready to take the alignment. Some people can't take the debt and the burden that they have, and they choose to take another way out. And probably if you are somebody who has dealt with karmic debt, you too may have dealt with the choice to choose material over spiritual, or vice versa, right? Those of you who came into this life with karmic debt had a moment where you had the choice to choose the red pill, and you might have been like, yo, can I change my choice, and can I go back to the blue pill? because the blue pill is where Venus and Jupiter thrive. Okay, so let's talk about the people who are in the blue pill. And I'm still working out these concepts, so bear with me. The blue pillars. The blue pill is the idea from the Matrix, blue and the red pill, about the fact that the people who choose the blue pill, they don't have to do that work. They don't have to do that digging for the truth. Peace, peace. Good evening. People who choose the blue pill, they don't have to dig for the truth. So they are in a place of privilege when it comes to the karmic debt. Okay? They're in a place of privilege. Why? Because first, they don't have karmic debt because they have no desire to dig and to know. That's one of the signs that you know that they are blue pills, because they are fine at coasting, and they are not in the need. So any privilege, because I'm gonna when I go into this, I'm gonna talk about privilege, and privilege is such a very important concept because there's aspects and dimensions to privilege. You can get it on a very minor level, but you can also get it on a very big level, right? So when we're talking about this blue pill idea and people who don't have karmic debt, right? They or don't have a lot, right? They don't, or they just didn't choose to deal with it and work it in this life. They're born in a space of privilege, right? And you're going to see that they don't need to know. Why would they want to know? The more you know, the more knowledge, the more the illusion dissipates in front of them. But that, I'm not judging them. I'm trying to tell you guys that we all made a choice. We all made a choice, and I need the red pillars to understand that about the blue pills, because I had to really get that and to understand why you made the choice that you made. This is why it can't just be the dark side of the zodiac signs, and why I just don't like your zodiac sign, because that's too much in the material world and it's too short term. It's too petty. It's too much for me to just talk about the conversation we had and then to project that I don't like the zodiac sign. No, if we're going to talk about the dark side of the zodiac signs, we need to talk about the seven sins and why the seven sins are a toolbox for red pillars, for people who have karmic debt, because you have the most access in understanding the pain that comes with partaking in the seven sins. You have no privilege. Okay? You do not have the privilege of being ignorant of the aspects of the seven sins. And when I say sins, I mean emotion, moon, and the darkness in the mind. Okay. Do you denote the nodes speaking to past lives? Absolutely. There's certain aspects in the chart that speak to past lives. The South Node would definitely be one of them. Lilith would be one of them. Saturn would be one of them. The 12th house would be one of them. Those are the places that I would start to look for karmic debt. Okay. And when you start to look for karmic debt, it's a very important process that you need to understand, which is that you're here to regenerate and to transmute it. So don't wallow in the wade in the water and go wallowing around when you choose to start discovering your karmic debt. Okay. Because it will hurt you. It will hurt your health. No, I do not believe that the nodes are the only place to find past lives. Sometimes I don't know. I just accept. Let's start about Aries. Yeah. Okay. So when we look at these ideas of red pill, blue pill, and we look at humanity, do you realize that there is a divide? And the divide was the choice to be ignorant and to coast, right? And to not have to know, because knowing is pain. Knowing is pain. Or to have to know through your pain. You had pain, you couldn't handle it, you didn't want to take your life, so you decided to do the work. And now you're doing the work and you're on the path of enlightenment. Those are the red pillars. Those are the red pills. They are the ones who have to, because the pain is so unbearable. That's one of the ways you know that you have karmic debt. And so this is why enlightenment is so powerful, because a lot of people might try to make enlightenment like a trend or a business. It will never work. Because enlightenment requires you to have to do trigger work, shadow work. And so anybody who actually gains enlightenment had to pass those tests. And so you can trust that the universe is taking care of all of the spiritual laws for you, and everybody is doing what they were supposed to do. And some people are not supposed to do anything at all, and there's nothing that we need to do to blame them about it. So with with that idea, I'm going to theorize in this video, right? And this is just one video with an idea. I'll make more later. I'm going to theorize in this video that the 7 sins are not for people who are on a blue pill path. For people who just want to coast, for people who don't want to do that work, who don't want to look things up and research and understand themselves and origins. Not everybody was made for that. And the 7 sins will be something that they are partaking in. It may be something that they're partaking in, right? But they don't know because they don't want to know. And that's where the red pill comes in. You're here to save everybody. And you probably know that already. And you probably tried it already and it didn't work. And a lot of that is a part of your journey. Okay? So why is it that you are here to save everybody? Why? Because the people who are born with karmic debt think long term. And that soul is working on a long-term vision. So, and they're working on it for themselves and for everyone else. Because people who are born in privilege in this life, if they do not work the emotional space, if they don't work, if you're born in privilege and you don't do what you were supposed to do, right, your next life is going to be what you were supposed to do in this life, and now you were born with karmic debt. So the person who chose the blue pill chose to coast in this life. They said, let him do the work for me. That's what they said. That's what they said. So it is your job to heal the world for the red pills and those who have karmic debt and those who are walking in the path of enlightenment. It really is your job. It's your job to heal the regeneration of humanity. You chose a very, very deep path in this life. Now I hope that what I'm about to provide for you will release you from feeling like you should have chose the blue pill. Because the truth is that they have privilege because privilege is an important hierarchy in the matrix. And so they have privilege because privilege is a term and a form and a matter and a material that is created by the shared reality of the matrix to keep people not having sovereign choices. Okay? So privilege is a concept that we created together in this cultural conditional society, which we call the matrix. And so these people think they have privilege, or they think that things are easy, right? They may not be thinking, oh, I was born with privilege. I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. No, you know that they're privileged because they don't have the trigger in the area of life that you do. They don't have it. Let's get an example. I haven't even talked about the sins yet, but I have to do this, okay? I feel like I'm becoming Duello because he does this. He does this big old intro, and then the last 30 minutes of his video is the actual content. Welcome, life path number 9. I'm a magnet just to feel pain. Anyone next to me, just how I feel. Yes. Chiron places and water houses. Yeah, if you got Chiron places and water houses, you should already know. Oh, especially in an 8th house. Okay, so this has the intention of healing people who have karmic debt. I want to really help you to feel free. And that's why I really came to make this video, not because of the title of this video. And I really have the intentions of breaking this down so that it can be received and digested for those who need to hear it. Okay, so we've been talking about privilege, and I want to give you an example. Let's talk about race wars. That's a good one. Okay, so why do you think what do you think the karmic debt is of the race wars? Here's my theories on this. That there must have been a phase in past. Okay, we're going to say past because time is not real, but a certain phase, a certain kingdom of energy, right? Where people of melanated colors did not work their privilege properly, lost it, and came back and materialized themselves in the place that was not privilege. Okay? So this is why colors, this is why skin color, these are one of the reasons why they manifest. And I know I might lose some people on this one. That's okay. That means this message was for you, okay? Um, so people of color gain a karmic debt, okay? And so come back into life and have to pay off that karmic debt, okay? Then through the path of pain, find enlightenment. It's there right there in the example. Because the people or the person with the karmic debt is going to find the enlightenment, or they're not going to survive. Okay, so this is why now the rise of enlightenment is even bigger, and the fight for freedom is even better for people of color. It's not perfect yet, but you see it's way better than it was before, right? So you come into this life and you choose these material matter manifestations, okay? Because one, you're connected to DNA and ancestry, so you're almost locked in. The ancestors are counting on you to make sure that when they come back and when the cycles continue, that you're helping to keep them in a more energetic place of alignment. Which means that now that the race, the people of color, are paying off karmic debt and coming to enlightenment and knowing themselves now, when they reach the pinnacle of privilege in this matrix again, because they had it before and they lost it. That's why what manifested did. Somebody tell me that you ain't a manifester through and through, more than you are your actual body. You are a creator and a manifester, always creating and always manifesting. So if you're always creating, always manifesting, you're not just always creating and manifesting the good things. You're always in creating and manifesting whatever it was in alignment. And we can do this on a person to person basis, but we can also do it on a genetic basis. We could do it on a DNA basis. We could do it on a gender basis. That's why you also had patriarchy rule over the 1900s, because they were in their privilege. And now they have to pay off their karmic debt, because everything in astrology shows us that everything is a cycle. And everything that's manifested in the next cycle, whether it's the next millisecond cycle or the next, 100 years, 1,000 year cycle down the road, right? Whatever cycle is coming next is based off of how you felt and what you knew and what you did off of the cycle that happened before it. That's karma. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just karma. It's spiritual laws. Okay, so that's my example of that. Hi, everyone. Clearing the humanity from the past pain. Exactly. So now this talk is really about people who have karmic debt, because like Sadhguru said, people who have karmic debt are on the path of enlightenment, and their job is to work long term. They are the ones who get to work long term. And this is why the 7 sins are a toolbox for you, because you have to get very acquainted with whatever your sin is to heal it, clearly. Right. To heal it. You can access the sins and flip them. And how you flip it will be how you can help your people, your DNA, the people around you, the people in your environment, whoever it is that you feel compelled to, because whoever you feel compelled to help is who you came here to help. Right? So you said you don't trust that man because he is not pure, fake person. Can you tell me who you're talking about? Oh, Sadhguru, the guy on YouTube. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, like I said, a guru is somebody who actually came and worked their sins and are continuing to work their sins. So they're not necessarily the most atypical, perfect personality. You know what I'm saying? They're not always the perfect personality. They're not always going to be a liked person either. So, and this is why the idea of like the dark side of the zodiac signs doesn't work for me, because it's just too attached to opinions and what people like versus actual spiritual literature and spiritual concepts. You're right. I don't know the dark side about him. But what I just wanted to share about him was the message of karmic debt. Because I do believe that no matter what he is, that message was an aha moment for me and what has compelled me to take a different spin on everything. Okay, so you're born and you choose your aspects, you choose your parents, you choose everything, you choose your skin. I mean, like, you're choosing these things, but you're also having to make these choices based off of what you did in a past life, based off of what you are gifting yourself in from the past life. So this is why, let's say, later down the line, you know, people of Asian descent are the ones who are the most impactful of the world, that they are the ones who are that DNA, that genealogy, that whole thing is like ruling the world, right? So if you were born into their race, you would be considered privileged in that time that they are ruling, right? But maybe you're a black person or a white person. Maybe in your past life, you're a white person who lived in America during slavery, and you're one of those people like who saw your privilege and you helped people get through, right? You helped people get through and find sovereignty in a time where people of color couldn't, right? Specifically black people. So you, as a Caucasian person who was in a space of privilege in one life and worked your privilege, get to choose the space of privilege in the next life. And I say the space of privilege because you never know what it's going to be. You never know, like, it's always changing. It's always changing. So all you're not choosing, you're not necessarily just choosing, race for race sake. You might be choosing it because that race is the one that is actually going to be in privilege in that lifetime, right? And you'll access it through your DNA because we all have it. You can only access it through your DNA. You can only access a race through your DNA, right? So that still is important. But the concept is that you got to choose the matter and the material manifestation in the next life that represented privilege. Now, race is hard and people get offended. What about money? Okay. So if you are somebody who, let's say that you're a man in a patriarchal world who runs patriarchally, but you did something like you did something so profound, so powerful that it helped people who suffer in the patriarchal world to find some peace, light, and maybe even empowerment, right? And maybe even some money. Then in a future life, whatever is currency, because it may not be dollar bills, it may not be Bitcoin, it may be currency, might be plant seeds in the future life, right? But because you did that work in that past life during that phase of patriarchy and you did the work to help someone, that means in the next life you might get to choose whatever position of privilege that would be one of wealth, and whatever manifestation that would be for you, but you got to choose the position of privilege because of the karmic work that you did in the life before. So these concepts aren't brand new. This is not what I actually discovered, but I just want to go through how I understand it so that I can move forward and helping you to understand what I say. When I say that you work in long term, you're working my next life and my next life after that. You're working on a long term basis. And of course, this life too. You're working on, let me make this life different right now and for the rest of my life. The goal of humanity, because we are cells and cells regenerate. The goal of humanity, the soulful goal of humanity, is to continue to regenerate until we are able to be in alignment at the moment that we desire and need it, or when all the time, if that's what we desire, but that we can access alignment and manifest what we want in our own desires. But in order to do that, in order to have that power, you have to have transmuted the sins. And transmuting the sins is not something that you can easily do in one lifetime. In fact, the universe is so vast, so complex, so miraculous that, it feels like it might be the reason, the reason for life to continue going and going and going is because it's continuing to regenerate and revive itself and rebirth itself into more advanced alignment, more power, and more, more ability to access desire and to manifest desire. And when humans hit a very specific place, they might literally have superpowers. So, I want to talk to you guys about the zodiac signs. Now, Aries, being the sign of fire and anger, would mostly be susceptible to wrath. Okay, and so of course you all have Aries in your chart, and if you have karmic placements that are in Aries, you might very much so be somebody who deals with wrath. I have Mercury and Venus here, and it typically would be like, oh, this is Mercury and Venus, but I have Venus retrograde. And my point, going back to that idea of the blue pill and the red pill, right? The people who coast, who are born in privilege on the spirituality sense, right? They don't have to do that spiritual work, right? That Venus and Jupiter energy it works well in the coasting and the blue pill lures. It works better for them because Venus and Jupiter aren't diggers. That energy is supposed to be superficial, and it's there as a emblem, as a symbol of pleasures in life and enjoying pleasures and staying optimistic, right? So going back to Aries, if me having Venus retrograde in Aries is one of the ways that I would say that is one aspect of karma for me, because Venus is in a place where she has to go deep. She's in retrograde in my chart, so she doesn't get to be superficial, and so this creates a lot of karmic debt. Okay, so there's a lot of enlightening that happens for me around Venus areas, which you guys have seen if you follow my channel, that's what I do. So if you have Aries in your chart, Saturn might not be so karmic here, but would definitely show karma still. South Node in Aries would showcase karma. Of course, Lilith, any Lilith placement is going to showcase karma, right? So Aries can have a sense of lust as well in the seven sins because of the eyes. And I just did a video on the eyes, and I just posted on Facebook about men being visual creatures. And it's so Aries for the rule to be that men are visual creatures, but we all know that we have Aries in our charts. We all know that we all have masculine energy and feminine energy, and we all have eyes. So no, men are not the only visual creatures. And so, but the reason that I brought this up, that this line, that men are visual creatures, I'm going to say it. You guys tell me if you agree. I think that this is an enabling of lust. And I think that it's an enabling of the concepts of somebody being visually beautiful, right? Being like your reason for wanting to date or have sex with them, right? But let's talk now about why this is lust. Hey guys, what's up? Hi Maddie, welcome. So Aries being wrath and lust. And I really want to pick apart lust because I'm really picking apart this men are visual creatures. Like, where did you even get that from? First of all, everyone who's watching right now, if you can comment right now, are the eyes receptive or are they penetrative? Are they penetrating? Do you penetrate with your eyes or do you receive? I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't looked it up either. So just based off of what you know, if it's an opinion, just throw it out there. If you have information, if you're watching the replay, tell me, are the eyes receptive or are they penetrating? I need to know. I need to know what your opinion is on that. Okay, because when you say that men are visual creatures and that's only assigned to men because yeah, men like how good women look, but that means if the eyes are receptive, that means that you're receiving her, so you're being in your feminine if you're a visual creature, which is absolutely fine, but then that's everybody. Everybody's got eyes. Everybody's got eyes. Where did they get that narrative that men are visual creatures? I want to tell you how they got it, guys. The seven sins are the seven sins are the most enticing thing. It's that beautiful, beautiful woman walking down the street. It is that gorgeous man working on his car across the street. The seven sins come at you with the most savory, exciting thing that you could ever have. And they promise you happiness and contentment. But they don't give it to you. They don't give it to you. And if they do give it to you, it's temporarily, and that's what lust is. Lust is a temporary thing. Not to be consumed, not to be confused with desire. Uh, Goddess Essence, you say that the eyes are receptive. I feel like the eyes are receptive too. So if man is supposed to be penetrating and your main attachment of identity to being a man is that men are visual creatures, right? Then you're telling me that you're a man because you receive. I'm just saying it. I'm not making an opinion on it. I'm just trying to understand why men are visual creatures and I'm not a visual creature. I got eyes. So lust is temporary. It's a temporary device that pulls you in and makes you really want it in that moment, right? But it's also deeply connected to its polar opposite, which is axis of polarity, which is disgust. And this is why lust will not make you happy. This is why lust will not make you happy, because lust is deeply connected to lack. I mean, all of the seven sins are. And unfortunately, partaking all of them has a significant meaning that you are feeling or believing in lack. And temporary happiness, with all of its instant gratification and glory, will make you feel good for a moment. And you'll pay a wonderful price for that temporary moment of happiness. And so the idea that men are visual creatures, I think, is an enabling. This is just my human personal experience. I think is an enabling of the societal conditioning to suppress men's emotions and to enable them to only make decisions about women with their eyes. And if you watch the last video that I made, I proved, I feel I proved that the eyes are easily tricked and that you cannot depend your decision on the eyes. They are the number one thing that can be tricked. You ever watch magic tricks? It's all about what you're focusing on so that you can't see what's actually happening. French and Arabic. Okay, I'll try to slow down. But yeah, you said pleasure. So let's start with that. Yeah. So lust is that temporary pleasure for the eyes with Aries. And Aries rules over the eyes. So this is why this is a perfect concept to talk about. How Aries can lust with their eyes. Right? And that's not just men, that's women. Because there are women Aries placements, guys. So yeah, the concept of seeing something being beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about what the eyes are for, because I actually looked that up as well and understood that the eyes and the development of the eyes, at least scientifically, science says that it's deeply connected to recognizing things that are harmful, like poisonous snakes, and seeing colors to be able to determine like what snake is poisonous and what snake is not. And then also to bear fruit. So this is where lust comes in. And isn't this interesting? Because, you can think of the Garden of Eden as well for fruits. So the eyes determining color can see, what fruit they want to eat, or what fruit is ripe, like if it's ripe enough or if it's not ripe yet, right? You'll be able to see it because the eyes are actually able to tap into the degree of color. Like the eyes are really amazing, right? So, but at the same time, you can see how you can use lust to manipulate color, right? To manipulate color to hint towards the eyes of what it is that would entice you, because your eyes look for the color of fruit, right? So if you're using that color to like beautify yourself, right, or someone else is doing it and you're looking at them, it's that same idea. They're like fruit. They're like fruit to you because they're using colors as a part of the makeup. So as a part of the whole like look. So that's actually what the eyes are picking up, are the colors and the degree and the spectrum of colors, because the eyes, they're almost receiving it as fruit. So we get caught up in this place of lust in Aries, looking for that fruit. Okay, and then so we are dealing with this sense of lack because we often don't know what we want, which is desire, and we replace desire with lust because you don't know what you actually want, or you don't believe that you can get what you actually want. And so whatever lust is, it's a digging at the parts of you that would be weak, that would make you feel a little bit more like how you would feel if you had what you wanted. And so it's lust is so, like, all of the sins, they're so good. They know exactly, like, it's hard to deny the seven sins for a reason, because they're connected to your lack of emotional fulfillment. So they know how to manipulate the emotional aspect of you. And that's why it's called sinning. It's called sinning because it's an emotional manipulation. Sometimes with my eyes, I can know and read people. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that beautiful? Sometimes our eyes, we manipulate people and make them think something is real, which is not, with our eyes. Yeah, absolutely. So that idea of lust and lusting after what you want means that you're being preyed upon by the energy of lack that you're feeling and that you're omitting and putting out, like in your frequency and outside of you, the stories that you tell yourself, the things that you think, because lust is connected to desire, right? So lust is going to be a very interesting sin compared to others, because it the lack might be still a place of drive and ambition. It still might be like a winning need. It might be that the lack might be something towards something. So like, I need to win. And so you have that lust to win, right? You have that lust for views. You have that lust for ice cream. You have that lust to win, to feel good. And so lust is very enticing. They all are. They're all enticing. Even wrath, glutton, greed, they're all enticing. I promise you. The reason they're enticing is because of your emotional lack. I hate saying that word because I feel like it hurts to say it, but it's the best way to say it for you to understand. And if you would work with me to detach from feeling any, not feeling, but just detach from the identity of lack, because it's not your identity. It's not your identity. It's just it's the state, the alignment that you've been putting yourself in. Lack. It's the alignment that you've been putting yourself in because of the things that you lust for, right? Because the things that you lust for are the things that you think that you want, but what they are just a temporary, happy treat, right? That, it doesn't keep you from getting what you want. It's just that it feeds the concept that, one, either you don't know what you want or you don't think that you can get what you want. That's important. It feeds that part of you. And so that's why partaking in lust keeps you in the same manifestation of the things that you don't want. The most dirtiest thing about the seven deadly sins is that it's dressed up so that you want it so badly, but you still may not even get that feeling that you're looking for, because it's not true alignment to what you really want. That's why you can be a millionaire and be unhappy. That's why. And a millionaire is a person of privilege in this life. So they really got a lot of work that they are not doing. Especially if you're born into money. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get into that later. Basically, thank you. Got it. Lack is a stage in enlightenment. Lack is a stage in enlightenment. Yeah, lack is a stage in enlightenment. It is the moment of aha. Like, this is why. For me, it was aha. This is why I still have a hunger for certain foods, even though I know I don't want to eat them, because I know that I want to be in a better healthful space for my body. But I can't help that I'm gonna salivate for that cupcake over there, but I know I don't even really want it. I know I don't even like pistachio cupcakes. But my mouth is watering and my body is like, I just wonder how it would taste like, right? And so the lack that I feel is this deep insecurity that I've manifested in my body. And the cupcake is the lust that is there to make me feel good, because that's the actual manifestation I can get right now. I can't get the weight loss manifestation. That requires more time, more patience. And that's why the seven sins are also so enticing, because they are dealing with your manifestation. They're effing with your manifestation. Okay. Why? Because we do. Abraham Hicks talks about this the most that I see online, talking about how we focus so much on what we just have manifested, right? And so it's so hard to get past that, right? And so you are supposed to work and to actually get the alignment. You're supposed to work on getting past it. But then here comes one of the sins that says, "Oh wait, come and take this detour before you try to get past it." You know what I'm saying? I got something here that might just make you feel a little bit better, right? But it's the very thing that keeps you in the cycle that you were already in. Hence the cupcake. If I eat that cupcake, I mean, like, if I eat the cupcake, I'm not going to gain 5 pounds. But what it creates for me could be a very important understanding that I knock my alignment off and go back into insecurity. Oh, I ate the cupcake. Oh, I'm guilty. Oh, I shouldn't have done it. Oh, I'm not the person that I say I am. I'm hopeless. There's no point. I'm always going to want cupcakes. I'm always going to be a sugar addict. I might as well just stay in the cycle. And then all the stories that I tell myself about how, this is just my body, just is how it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll go back into that cycle instead of the cycle that I was initially on, which is to push through the manifestation into the unknown, where I can create a whole brand new me. But that darn cupcake, that darn lust was right there. And the pain of, like, I gotta wait long term, I gotta be patient. That part is where it nags at you. Like, we all want that instant gratification, and the seven sins provides that for you, but it also shows you how it keeps you away from your alignment. It doesn't have to, but because you are already partaking it, it's like, a fresh new person out of rehab going right back into their environment. So they can say no, but it's so much harder. It's so much harder. And so that's what the seven sins can represent on your journey to enlightenment. Okay. And so a lot of people might fight over this and be like, that seven sin stuff, that's just Christianity, hooba juba. No, Christianity actually preserved a lot of the concepts that our ancestors and our originators had. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the people who was teaching it, but it was preserved. It's hidden and it's preserved in all of the faiths. So in all of them, because they all have a core truth to them, and that's the true preservation. I mean, if you just stop focusing on what man did with it, and really just digged for the core and the truth, you would see that they're all saying the same thing, right? It's just the interpreter that fucks with it. So going back to this idea of the seven sins, and a lot of people, right, are going to can respond to this and be like, that's just that Christian hoopla, I'm not about that. I want to live a life of doing whatever I want, and you're fat phobic because you don't like your body. And you should be able to have a cupcake whenever you want it, honey, and things like that, right? There's nothing wrong with that person. I'm just trying to say that that person, that type of personality is what I would call a blue pill. They don't have no karmic debt. They don't have karmic debt. Because if at least not in this area, because if they did, the pain would be so unbearable. They have no choice but to make these decisions. And that's how I know it is. That's why you can have two people who are overweight, and one is a blue pill and one's a red pill. One might be more like, I don't need to lose weight, I'm happy who I am, and the other is, I need to figure out why is it I'm addicted to these foods, and why is it I'm insecure about my body. Because some of us came to do the enlightenment work and some of us didn't, and there's nothing wrong with either side. Okay, we came into this manifestation, and so it created the illusion of separation. So you think that you're different than them because you have to do more work, but you're doing the work for them. You're doing that work for them. You're carrying the karmic debt. You're the one who's doing that work. They don't got to do nothing. People in privilege don't got to, no, they don't have to do anything except for one thing. They have to do one thing, and they a lot of people mess that up, and then they go into a new life with karmic debt. So when you're in privilege, you still have a job. You have one job, and we'll talk about that job. Exactly, they're going to pay their karma in the next life. So people in privilege, they do have a job. But oh, can I just go off tangent for a little bit? Because on Facebook I wrote, in your and you guys answer for me to all of you beloved people who are watching, in your alignment and manifestation experiences, when you're really conscious of it, which do you think you was the thing that actually helped you with manifestation? Was it knowledge, like knowledge of all the stuff, astrology, numerology, knowledge of whatever, but was it the knowing, or was it the feeling? That's what I asked on my Facebook. I asked, was it the knowing or the feeling? And after I posted this and I was meditating on this idea, going back to the idea of people who coast, people who are in the blue pill of privilege and whatever arena of life that you see them at, they would not want to know. They people in privilege do not want to know. Knowing puts you in that place where you have to see past the illusion. People in privilege don't want to see past the illusion. A person who is a person who is rich, right, does not have to see the homeless person. But if they did, they create better karma for themselves in the next life. So how do they access? How does a person of privilege who doesn't want to know? See, now you have people in your lives that you're dealing with shit, and to them it's like it's light. It's like, what? Why are you making this such a big deal? But because you're the one who has the work, right? So why is it so hard for you to tell them? Because they don't want to know. Because people in privilege don't want to know the other side of the axis. They don't want to have to deal with that, because if they did, it would throw them off of their coasting alignment. They're coasting. They're trying to enjoy life. They're trying to do what they got to do. They don't want to be bothered by this like deep esoteric person who's talking about spirituality and how to detach from things. They don't want to hear it. My URL social links aren't working. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will look at that. And don't forget about justice. Oh, now, when you talk about justice, we could be here forever. I've only gone through Aries. um, okay, Izzy, you say that you have to say both. So you say feeling and knowing is what helps you manifest. Beautiful. Let me know more about that. Like, explain to me your answer. I feel like you hold a pie. It was the feeling that did make it more real, right? Exactly. Okay, yeah. So we're talking about blue pillars and their need to not, they don't need to know, right? Blue pillars, they don't need to know because it ruins the illusion. And so this is why you have certain people who don't want to hear like the things that you're saying, because it breaks their illusion. And you have to understand that if you ever watch The Matrix, you have to have compassion for this. If you've ever watched The Matrix, that the truths that you are carrying are deep and heavy, right? And so somebody who is like not trying to hear that. It's like taking that wire that they have, because everybody's hooked up in the matrix in their little portals. It's like taking that wire and going, psh, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't feel like love to them that you're taking them into your deep rabbit hole of spiritual enlightenment. You know, it just doesn't feel good. So how does a person of privilege, a person of wealth, make sure that their karma is good for the next life? Because they don't have the knowledge, right? They don't have the knowledge of the poor or whatever. They don't have the knowledge of like what it's like. They don't have that. The only thing they have is feeling. The only thing you have if you're in a privileged place is feeling. And if you don't listen to your feelings for others in non-privileged places, you miss the whole point. You missed the whole point of why you were privileged in the first place. Was that somebody sacrificed for you, somebody did the work for you, somebody felt for you, somebody put in the dirty work for you in past karmic lives, and that's why you have the gifts of privilege. It might have been even have been you. It might have been you doing all that work and you forgot. So people of privilege, like what makes somebody a wealthy person and give to a homeless person is that they heard their feelings. They heard their feelings and they moved through their feelings. And that's what is beautiful about the blue pillars, is that when they access their feelings, all they are is a beacon of light to those who are underprivileged. They are supposed to integrate. A privileged person is supposed to integrate because hierarchy is not natural to humanity. It's not natural to humanity. Okay? Every time you have somebody in power, you have them fighting for that power, fighting against other people who want to take that power. Hierarchy is a very big thing in the matrix, but it's not natural to your humanity. And so people who are given privilege have to do the integration work, but they don't want to know anything, which means that they don't want to know that there are people who are underprivileged. So the only way they can do what they do is to feel. So they're going to encounter their polarity all the time. You're always attracting your polarity. So a rich person will attract somebody who is poor, and what do they feel and what do they do from that feeling? That will be what determines their karma. Thank you. I'm just saying this to myself. Everyone's sacrificing something or has sacrificed something. Yes. Yes. And you know what? I want to build on that with you, Goddess Essence energy, because I truly feel that the emotion of empathy comes from Pisces, which when you think about the Vesica Pisces, it's the symbol of the womb and how people are always passing through, right? You know, in order to birth into the new realm that they're in, but also that so that concept of birth comes from empathy, because Pisces is also it's the compassion. It's a sign of compassion and empathy. It's the sign of charity. It's the sign of giving to somebody who doesn't have. This is why homeless people and people of underprivilege are also a part of Pisces. And then at the same time, that symbol, the Vesica Pisces, is the symbol of the womb. So there's something there that makes me feel like empathy has a lot to do with how you cross, and a lot to do with your enlightenment, and a lot to do with your connection and how you find connection to to all things. I feel like empathy might be like knocking at that door there and saying, hey, like, let me in so that you can cross through, so you can birth, that you can rebirth, you can come in and be born again almost. So, oh, you said some tarot readers, they don't like to hear anything because they want to keep lying. Yeah, absolutely. And I know what you're talking about. You're talking about people who don't want to go dark or talk about dark things. Yeah. There's certain tarot readers who go into jealousy. Who's jealous of you? Those people are doing sin work. They're doing sin work. And they're beautiful because they attract the people who are questioning those things, which means those people are coming in from a place of lack and probably, having a real imbalance with their sins. Sorry. Only in Brooklyn, y'all. Okay, so yeah, so those tarot readers who do, like, who's spying on me and who's jealous of me, like, I see them. I've watched some of them in my time, and they are there for a very specific reason, pulling people in who are experiencing those things and being a source for them, a resource, a transmutation for them to come out of who's jealous of you and why. Like, they can help align you for that, okay? And it doesn't have to be like giving you great sound advice. It doesn't. It's just creating the consciousness that you're dealing with this. It's powerful stuff, because when you are somebody who has heavy karmic debt, you might feel like, where do I start? You might feel like, what do I do? And you feel like, how do I do this right? And how do I, like, not be lustful? Like, look, I had a can of Coke the other day. I'm still going to fall for these things. It's just about how I pick myself up and get back in alignment. And the other message I want to say is that if you have heavy karmic debt, you're supposed to be in this life for enlightenment and to enlighten others. But that comes from you healing yourself. So what that is trust yourself. All right. You do a tarot reading and you're pissed at somebody and you're dealing with your stuff. You know what I'm saying? You be you and you do you, because it's you doing you and taking care of you and being in your healing energy, because you're trying to transmute the real energy. You're the one doing it, and it don't look pretty sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, spiritual people think that this stuff is supposed to look pretty, when in fact Venus does not belong here like that. You know what I'm saying? It's about being able to look kind of ugly and allow that to happen. You don't understand that could heal some people too. So you got to just trust yourself, and you got to work from a place of what is compelling your soul to do that work. That's actually what keeps me and has kept me a lot from overeating, which is my creative work, and pulling me from that soulful work. I don't have the time to be like, doing what I was doing before. So working from that place of soul and healing, no matter what, and not being thrown off, because it will throw you off. You might be like, yeah, I want to meditate all day, but I got to pay the bills. That means that you're going to fall. You're going to fall for the sins, because it's going to pull you out of alignment. And you're going to be focused on, how do I pay the bills versus how do I heal myself? So that's what I would have to say about that. I lost the live chat. Are you guys still there? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to talk about Taurus. I probably won't get through all the signs today, but let's talk about Taurus. And Taurus being having the tendency to fall in the 7 sins would be over greed and glutton. That's easy. Moving on. No. Because of Taurus ruling over Venus. If Taurus is a Venus ruled, right? And so Taurus is Venus ruled. It's very difficult to see your greed and glutton in Taurus. It's hard to see it. Like I said, Venus doesn't want to go deep. Taurus is like to stay chilled out on the surface. And so this is why greed and glutton can kind of go haywire in this part in this in Taurus, and wherever Taurus is in your chart. And certain karmic placements would really put this into place, like Saturn, South Node, Chiron, Lilith. Those placements are, if you have Taurus in the 12th house, these placements are going to show up more. If you have these placements, then greed and glutton might show up more. Okay, my South Node. Yes, I've been shopping online every day in this lockdown in Australia. Yes, right. So, Taurus being money ruled, right? It gets tricky because we think that money comes from Venus, but it doesn't. It comes from the moon. And what Venus does with Taurus and Libra is about creating your value so that you become a magnet to money through your emotional space. So your emotions and your alignment of emotion is what truly would attract whatever is considered money in the matrix that you live in, right? And so for us, it is actually bills, or now it's, just Bitcoin, but whatever it is, money is a hierarchy and a measurement for privilege in this matrix, right? So what ends up happening is that you can attract money, and you should be able to, and you should, because it is a measurement of how much you value yourself. So that's why it's important to attract money, in my spiritual opinion, like coming from an esoteric point of view, not just because you want to buy dope clothes, but because it's a signal, it's a sign that you are in alignment, that you're attracting energy, you're attracting lore, that you have the lore in you, and that the lore is pulling the things that you want to you. And so the ability to track money is more about that. And why does it have to be more about that? Because of the sins. Okay. So chasing money, doing things for money, is very, very, very accepted. Right? It's very accepted, but I don't know, guys. Like I said, Venus is very superficial, so she don't want to look that deep. So a lot of people who have karmic places in Taurus, they have a heavy burden, because you are going to be very black shadow. What's the word? Black sheep, like in a space where nobody really wants you to dethrone their love of shiny things, and shiny things. They don't want you to dethrone that. People came to this world to enjoy the fruits of what humanity has created here. And I personally feel that the only people who can really do that with Taurus karmic placements are the people who chose the blue pill and don't want to do that work. But if you decided to do the work and to choose the path of alignment, and you have karmic places in Taurus, greed and glutton is a very difficult sin to debunk, because there's a lot of pride in it, especially in our consumerism society here in America. But you can see that whenever you chase for money, even when I chase for money, there's something about saying, I have readings available this week, you guys, because I just stumbled on something and I want to practice reading on people. It's a very different energy, the alignment that I'm in, when it's like, I just paid my last bill and I need some, just extra cushion cash. It feels different. The feeling is different when I do it versus I just found something and I'm so excited and I want to read for as many people as possible. They're two different things. I'm doing the same thing, still reading for people, but they both come from, different emotional needs, right? And so the one where I'm doing readings for people because I don't have any more money, because I pay, because bills are paid, but there's nothing left, right? When I'm in that space of, I just need to get money, that becomes a place where it can become greedy, right? A lot of people push this is not going to be an easy topic to talk about, because a lot of people push girl, you should raise your prices because you are worthy. Why is it that me raising my price makes me worthy or valuable, or makes what I offer worthy or valuable? The only reason that works is because of the rules of society, but me raising my price has no bearing off of how valuable it is. And that's the part that greed shows, because the more that the price is raised, the more that it creates the need for the chase. The more that there creates a distance between poverty and wealth, the more that greed can hurt people soulfully, spiritually. You can lose your soul. Like, it could hurt you, the person who harbors the greed, right? Somebody who needs to share but takes it all, right? That I just gave the example of the wealth, like the person of wealth, that they're supposed to share. When you're in privilege, you're supposed to integrate and share. So if you don't do that, then You might be okay in this life, but I doubt that you're happy because your connection to humanity is stifled. You stay in your hierarchy, you might be safe, you might feel safe on top, but this life is deteriorating. This life that you're currently in is deteriorating. Life moves fast. Why? Because the bigger picture is that cycles are just going and going and going. Your next cycle is soon approaching, the person in privilege. So you got Taurus energy, you got privilege, you've got resource, you've got at your fingertips and you don't want to share. I think that we confuse Venus for being connected to anything that has to do with masculinity, femininity, or humanity, and Venus isn't. Venus is pure matter and materials. It's the production of materials. It's the materials used to create things. It is creative, Venus is using tools to create new things. But when you chase Venus, when you chase money, because when people, I got to be careful because I said money is the moon, right? But you are chasing Venus because you're chasing what Venus can get you, like what money can get you, sorry. And that's Venus. That's Venus. You're chasing money, you're chasing what money can get you, and that's Venus. Whether it's your dope ass car or it's your status, because now you got money, now you're wealthy, now you're in a privileged status. So you chasing money is for what you can get from Venus. And so Venus is not a bad planet, but just like how humanity took the Bible and fucked up a lot of people take Venus and they fuck up a lot of people. They start creating hierarchies of beauty. There's a huge divide between what's wealthy and what's poverty, right? There is the overproduction of materials, so that a country that is deeply, consumerism based, we have, like in Brooklyn, we have blocks that are just storage buildings of storage for people's stuff. So people take Venus and they just take more and more and more. So now we're getting into that greed again, that concept of Taurus and money and greed. We take Venus and we exploit Venus and we use Venus, use it up. Like we just use it up. The thought that I just had, I wanted to say, but we also identify Venus. We identify to Venus. So when you get money, you rich, you really identify with that, and you divide yourself, right? Because I'm rich, there must be somebody who's poor. Because I'm beautiful, there must be somebody who's ugly, right? So we take the polarism and we put it on hierarchies with Venus. We put it on social status with Venus. We put it on what makes somebody a good person, or trustworthy person, like, or a knowledgeable person. Like you can be fooled by Venus to think this is a good person because they have money or that they have beauty. You know what I'm saying? Because of what they made themselves out to look like. But that's not always the case, right? You can't always judge a book by its cover. That's more for Aries and lust, but it still works with money because money can make people look something that makes you feel like I want to be around that person, and which is great if that person is using their privilege for the greatest of good, because that means that person has a soul. But you have to be careful because money and even the concepts of money are very complicated and they're deeply connected to the moon. They're not connected necessarily to what you attach Venus and the value of things to. Okay? Because you can raise your price. Look, who has anyone done drop shipping? Because you can raise your price on a $5 product. Me and you can both buy wholesale these cute little underwears for $3, right? And you want to price them at $7, and I want to price mine at $15, but they're both made of the same materials. So So that whole concept of raise your price, your value, the price has nothing to do with the value. It doesn't have anything to do with the value. The price is about manipulation, the capacity to market, the capacity to have knowledge for sure, and to manipulate in your favor and for a good reason to get what you want. But it doesn't necessarily, just because we both bought wholesale panties for $3 and you have a higher price than mine, doesn't necessarily mean that your panties are better than mine. They're exactly the same, right? Your wholesale order, basically. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. And using the idea of greed with Taurus. Okay, Goddess, it says, I have Mercury and Mars conjunct in Taurus in the fourth house. Yeah. Yeah. So, actually, both Mercury and Mars can be tough for Taurus, but I feel like Mars is probably even more, um, could probably show more of the karma that you might have to deal with greed and gluttony in Taurus. So I didn't really talk about gluttony. So I wanted to talk about gluttony today, and then maybe I'll go on live tomorrow and do two more signs and talk more about these concepts, because it's these concepts applied to the zodiac signs that I really want to sink my teeth into. Gluttony for Taurus. Well, this is perfect because all of this is actually inspired by my own Mars in Taurus and my gluttony for food and specifically like sugary things. And the the need of gluttony is deeply related to comfort and safety and security, feeling safe and secure in your space, your environment, or just your body. So gluttony becomes something that is a clearly a lack, right? Because we already covered that all of the seven sins is connected to lack, right? No matter what you want to fight, like you can live your life, you can have about whatever. Seven sins are connected to lack. These concepts have been preserved from the ancient, from the ancestors. These are ancient spiritual laws, and they were put here because you have certain energies like Venus that will be exploited. And here's how it shows itself in gluttony: sugar, milkshakes. You know what I'm saying? You can literally make food, quote unquote, out of non-natural things and call it food, quote unquote, right? Which creates certain environments in the body that make you crave those things. So you're not even really craving real food anymore. For instance, me and Coca-Cola for like 10 years, I could not get past my Coca-Cola addiction, creating a lot of sugar and all issues in my body, right? And so the need for comfort, I would also say the need for consistency comes with gluttony. The lack of feeling like something is reliable or consistent comes with gluttony because of that feeling that, if I can eat something, the same thing that I always like eating, that it will give me a sense of consistency that I'm not having in my life. So that's where the lack comes with gluttony. And you'll actually see, in my opinion, you guys tell me what you think, but I actually do feel like certain sins, they are more accepted in society and loved for what they are, right? So gluttony is not. It's like one of the ones that people blatantly will see as something that they don't like, right? Because, somebody who probably will pack on pounds, or just like they just go in and they're just like, eating so much or eating the wrong things. And I think that in normal society, we naturally look at gluttony and know that it comes from a place of lack. But things like lust is enjoyed by the blue pills, right? The enticing of the eyes in videos and films, sex sells, all of that. Like all of that is okay, and we like it. We accept it more. It has the okay in society a little bit. It's like that maybe people take it too far, online and whatnot, but we still make it okay more than maybe gluttony. That's my personal experience, but you guys tell me what you think. But basically, I'm trying to say, like, some of the sins can get by. They can almost like pass by for just pleasure, and it's not a big deal to people. But in the laws of how they work, they all are still based off of lack and keep you in that lack alignment until you can see that participating in the sins is, and it's specifically like without knowledge, right? So you can always enjoy certain things, but without knowledge, without understanding your own emotional body and why you want to participate in being gluttonous or greedy. Like if you don't have that emotional state on, emotional insight into what's going on with you and why you're hungry for money or whatever, you can kind of just lose the whole point of the fact that it is the alignment that will get you the money, and it's the indulging in the greed that it makes the struggle harder. It makes it harder. You can still, you might sell a little something, you might get a little something, you might even try and rob something because you're so greedy, and just to get that instant manifestation of, let me go to a bank and rob it. That would be, showing up in a Taurus karmic place. So you can still get the money, you know what I'm saying? The sins don't necessarily mean that you won't get it. Sometimes they do. And that's when they really fuck with you. But some of them you can get it. It's just the alignment, the energy, the way from whence it came keeps a karmic debt that just keeps on turning. So that's why it becomes something that is so enticing. You can barely resist it. That's the whole point of sins. That's why some of them really can pass and people don't even realize that it's taking over them. And before they know it, their body might be filled with disease, or they're just lonely, or their souls are tired or whatever, because it's feeding off of something that is not food. So chasing money, especially with Taurus, you'll see that it's not fulfilling. And many people have, like interviewed a bunch of like very rich people and millionaires who will tell you that money will not actually bring you to happiness, that the actual emotional state of having money is not actually what brings you to happiness. So, okay. Yes. Okay. So, Izzy, you say they don't always see those. Some may take time for them to see gluttony. I absolutely agree. And actually, I was one of them because I was very big before, like maybe like 2 years ago. I just was numb to anything and probably overtly sensitive. And I talk about this in my spiritual weight loss, especially for people who suffer from heavy, from being overweight, how your receptors are shot, and you have receptors in your glands here, and you have receptors in your adrenaline glands. And these receptors, like when they receive energy, people around you, or just information, they can almost be like so sensitive. And so people who like carry weight, a lot of that has to do connected to the thyroid receptors and the adrenaline receptors, depending on what body type you are. That's a whole other talk. But that idea of being able to take time to see their gluttony, that is very true. And that was true for me, because if someone said to me, oh, you have to lose weight, like my receptors would be very, very sensitive, extremely hurt. And it only actually just kept me staying in that same cycle for at least a year, resisting it, like telling everybody why they're wrong, why they shouldn't tell me to lose weight, or how dare they, and you're superficial, like the resistance is like, oh, motherfucker, right? Until I started to recognize the lack that was actually happening from the way that I was, acting. So then you start to see it for yourself. So it definitely takes some time. But the other reason that it might take time or it never comes is because some people aren't supposed to do that work. I mean, they might actually choose it, but they don't have to, because they may not feel as much of the pain. Just because you partake in the sins doesn't necessarily mean that you feel the pain. But the people who have karmic debt will feel it, because they have karmic debt and they chose to discover why they feel lack. So the seven sins become very powerful for you if you're a person with karmic debt, because of the fact that you're willing to look. You're willing to look and you're willing to make judgment, self-correction upon yourself, which actually helps to heal those around you for their next lifetimes, for this lifetime and the next one. So this is why karmic debt feels so heavy, because it's very it has a strong projectile. Like, it has a strong trajectory of what's possible. And we know this because when we look at our charts, we can see where karma's in our chart. You can see where good karma is in your chart. Good in the sense of, like, if you have trines in your chart. In astrology, we say that that is connected to, gifts and work that you've done from the past. I don't have any trines in my chart. So look, don't worry. Not everybody did very good in their past. And I'm one of those people who carry some debt. So if you're tuned into this, you probably are too, clearly. Because if you weren't, you would not even want to know this stuff, right? You would want to stay in the illusion of the blue pill because it's safer there for those who want to coast. So there's a lot that I wanted to get through in this video, and I know I was all over the place, but I'm going to just summarize that. I wanted to really speak on how the seven sins are connected to the emotional spectrum, and they help us define the most darkest negative emotional spectrums. And they're very useful for people who have karmic debt, because you have the capacity to feel it and to want to know where it comes from, right? Unlike your blue pill brothers and sisters who don't want to know, so they don't have to do that work. So I really wanted to get that point across, and I think I did. I wanted to introduce the concepts of how the world, right, is constantly regenerating, or not the world, but humanity themselves are regenerating constantly in every lifetime. So how the seven sins are why they had to be preserved, because a lot of people will just naturally hear that term and then they get, Christian phobic, and then we lose the concept that it was preserved for so long for a reason. That it's actually deeply connected to ancient knowledge. And so I hope that that was clear. And I also wanted to give clear examples of people who have karmic debt and who don't, so that the people who have karmic debt could really start to tap into their truest purpose, because it can feel like life robs you when you are not able to manifest what you want. And I want to also encourage you to know that the goal is for you to manifest everything that you want. You're just the one that does the deeper work in order to find that alignment. But then when you do, it starts to be easier and easier. And the more that you heal yourself, the more that you actually are standing in the calling that you made for yourself and for others in this lifetime. So I encourage you to have compassion for blue pillars, not for them. Don't have compassion for them. Have compassion for them, for you, because you no longer have to try to force somebody who's a blue pillar to want to know. The only thing you do is bring things to consciousness for them. Evoke feeling by sharing your feelings with them. Share your feelings with them, not your knowledge with blue pillars. And have compassion that they don't want to be unplugged. And have compassion for yourself that you are unplugged. And that's why shit is so hard. But even that is a story that we can change, because maybe we can shift and find the excitement, especially in the times that we're living in, because it's almost like these times are made for you who has a karmic debt to finally flourish in even the matrix. Because of so much things changing and coming to an end, that the things that we valued that made up this matrix are kind of being challenged now. And it's almost like it's a gateway for so many people who have karmic debt, who wouldn't do the work and who would live a life of unbearable pain, or who would take their life. We could actually save more people if we come out and flourish. And so this is why I'm very passionate about it, because I understand and empathize with hopelessness. And I really think that there's a reason why you have the pain that you have, because of the ability that you have to help others. And if we could tap into that, then the certain manifestations that do happen that are really inhumane we can end those cycles. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today we did Aries and Taurus, and we can move on and do Gemini and Cancer probably tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great evening, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.